Hi everyone, today we are going to be talking about measurement division of fractions. So the example problem that we have is 2/5 divided by 7/3. And first let's just start by reminding ourselves of what measurement division is. So when we distribute some amount of stuff among an unknown number of groups so that each group gets a known amount of stuff, and then we're going to count how many groups we can make. So in this case, for our example, let's just say we have 2/5 of a cake. And we want to divide it so that each person gets 7/3 of a cake. So the question that we're asking is how many people will get cake? And because we're working with measurement division, we know that we're going to go from one whole, so in this situation, a cake, to another whole, or people. So our two wholes, our first one is going to be cake, and our second whole, our final whole, will be people. So first I'm going to start by drawing out the 2/5 in picture form. So we start with our one whole, which is our cake, and we're going to divide it into 5 sections because our denominator is 5. And then we'll shade in the 2/5 because that's how many pieces of cake we have. The 2 in our numerator tells us that we have 2 out of the 5 pieces of cake. Now if we draw our second fraction, our 7/3, we have our one cake, and we'll divide it into 3 sections because our denominator is 3. We know that means to split it into 3 separate pieces. But since we can only shade in 3 out of the 7 pieces that we need, we're going to need to draw 2 more whole cakes. And we'll divide those into 3 as well. And we'll shade in 7 of the pieces. So now we have our 2/5 and our 7/3. So next what we want to do is we're going to divide these pieces so that all of our pieces are equal sized. So first what we're going to do is we're going to divide our 2/5 and we're going to cut it into thirds. So we'll cut it the opposite way that we cut our fifths. And then we'll take our thirds and we'll cut those into fifths. So now, because we're working in measurement division, the best way to look at this is we're going to not necessarily ignore our denominator right now, but we're going to just look at our whole pieces. So we're not going to worry about we're not going to necessarily look at these as fractions anymore. We're going to look at the pieces as a whole number. So if we first just look at how many pieces in this one cake are shaded in, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. And then if we look at how many pieces are shaded in here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, plus 15 more is going to be 30, plus 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So then we have 35 pieces here total. Now, we can just look at this by saying if we have 6 pieces here total, and we have 35 pieces here, we want to divide those 6 pieces by the 35 pieces. Because it's like saying we have 6 pieces of a cake, and we want to give each person 35 pieces. So we would do 6 divided by 35, and that's going to be your final answer. Now you're probably looking at this and wondering how that necessarily worked. Well, what we did is we got a common denominator by making all of our pieces the same size. So we had the same number of pieces in each whole. So then what we did is we took these pieces and just looked at them as a whole number. And we said we had 6 here. We wanted to give each person 35 pieces of the cake. So we're able to give we're not really able to we don't have enough cake to give enough to even one person, so we can only make 6/35 of a group. Now this is going to give us the same answer as if we were to invert and multiply. So we take our 2/5, keep that the same, change to multiplication, and invert our second fraction. And now if you look here, you'll see we have 2 groups of 3 on the top, which is the same as our 2 groups of 3 here. And then we have 5 groups of 7, which is going to be the same as these 5 groups of 7 that we have across. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then if we multiply across, like we know to do with fractions, we get 6/35. And our answer matches the same. And just an important thing to remember again with measurement division is we're switching from the whole being the cake to the whole being people. So we were only able to give, or we didn't have enough cake to quite give, we didn't have enough cake to give to at least one person. So really, we wouldn't necessarily say we have 6/35 of a person, but we were able to make 6/35 of a group that we wanted.